So this paper investigates the determinants of international trade between the six Western Balkan countries and some of the most important trade partners. As we all know, the Western Balkan region includes six countries, namely Albania, Montenegro, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Serbia. Western Balkan countries have a very clear EU integration perspective, which was initially recognized during the FERA European Council in June 2000 and reconfirmed by the Thessaloniki European Council in 2003, as well as by the Sofia European Council in 2018. Currently, all Western Balkan countries have stabilization and association agreements with the European Union. More specifically, Albania applied for EU membership in April 2009 and obtained the candidate status in June 2014. Montenegro declared its independence from Serbia in 2006, and in 2008 the country applied for EU membership. In 2012, the European Union started the accession negotiations with Montenegro, whereas North Macedonia applied for EU membership in 2004, and 1 year later the country obtained the candidate status. Bosnia and Herzegovina applied for EU membership in 2016, and in December 2022, the European Council granted the candidate status to the country. Serbia was granted the candidate status in March 2012, and Kosovo, as we know, in 2008, the European Council acknowledged the Kosovo's declaration of independence. And as we all know, the European Union plays a crucial role in the reconstruction and the economic development of the country. Western Balkan countries have signed different bilateral and multilateral trade agreements with the European Union as well as with other extra-European Union partners. More specifically, the European Union has set up a system of diagonal accumulation of origin with the Western Balkan countries and Turkey. This system has further developed regional trade as well as offered additional opportunities for economic operators. Furthermore, in 2020, the European Union extended its trade preferences to the Western Balkans for another 5 years until December 2025. This decision has obviously stimulated exports from Western Balkan countries to the European Union. The figure shows the trade balance of each Western Balkan country with the European Union. A relatively high number of authors have theoretically and empirically analyzed the determinants of bilateral trade flows for developing and developed economies. For example, Wang, Wei, and Liu 2010 studied the main factors of bilateral trade flows among OECD countries. According to the empirical results, domestic R&D stock levels and similarities of market size and inward FDI stock are positively related to bilateral trade, whereas the distance between partners has a negative effect. Felipe and Kumar estimated a gravity model to examine the relation among bilateral trade flows and trade facilitation. And in this case, empirical results show that there have been important gains in trade as a result of trade facilitation in Central Asian countries. Rahman and Jutta formulate some generalized gravity models to investigate the bilateral trade of Bangladesh. The findings indicate that trade is positively related to the size of economies and openness of trading countries. Narayan and Nguyen show that the influence of trade gravity variables depends on trading partners. According to the authors, trade policy should consider the level of development, the maintenance of close economic ties, and the influence of other important variables on trade flows. Nguyen and Vo analyzed the determinants of bilateral trade, again for some Asian countries. The authors employ a sample of bilateral trade and economic characteristics, and the findings suggest that comparative advantage by differentiating the export product structure promotes international trade. Hassan Kayat investigates the trade patterns based on a gravity approach. The findings in this case confirm the statistical significance of GDP per capita, populations, and trade barriers. Guan and Ping Shang 2020 investigate the factors affecting the trade, international trade through a gravity model. Empirical results confirm the statistical significance of trade agreements and economic crisis. So we propose in this work a gravity type equation for Western Balkan international trade flows, considering several independent variables. The proposed equation includes basic variables such as the economic sizes estimated by the respective GDPs and bilateral distance, which approximates trade costs. We also consider other relevant independent variables such as the sum of trade partners' populations and two dummies related to the existence of a common border between trade partners and to the respective free trade agreements. So we consider the following econometric model where all variables except for the dummies are expressed in logarithm. We consider two response variables, export from a Western Balkan country in a given trade partner and the sum of imports and exports from between a Western Balkan country and the corresponding trade partner. The table shows the definitions and the corresponding expected size for each of the considered variables. We continue with some descriptive statistics, some relevant descriptive statistics for our variables. And a summary of the results of the estimated models obtained by the R software. We have considered two different dependent variables, exports and trade flows, and we have applied a typical estimation technique for panel data models, the random effect estimator, which is based on the assumption that the variation between country pairs is not systematic and uncorrelated with independent variables. So in this case, we can also find, let's say, the effect of time invariant parameters. The empirical results show that the considered independent variables are statistically significant in all the cases, and the observed R squared varies from 43%, let's say, the trade flows equation to 69%, the exports equation. Coefficients, magnitude, and sign are, let's say, similar to other past studies. So the main objective of this research was to analyze some of the most relevant determinants of bilateral trade between the six Western Balkan countries and the most important trade partners. A panel data econometric model was used to investigate international trade with 19 European countries. Findings showed that trade was adversely affected by bilateral distance between partners. On the other hand, trade is stimulated by the respective GDPs, total populations, and free trade agreements. Future research should be directed towards the application of different estimation techniques, inclusion of other relevant independent variables, and additional trade partners. Thank you.